Hello everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter and welcome to my weekly episode. It is episode number 278 for September the 17th, 2024, and I hope you had a good weekend and I hope you had a good week so far, and I hope you're going to have a good week beyond. Yeah. Okay, so what have I been working on? Well, here we go. This is Stephanie of Stephanie Stitches Sew Along. This is her Cozy Star quilt, and I have all the blocks done now. So the next thing is to start finishing it up. I've got the instructions for the sizing, or for the sizing of the sashing and the borders, and that's what I'm going to work on later today. So hopefully by next week I'll at least have the top finished and be able to show you that. I don't know if it'll be quilted yet, but we'll see. Do have sort of a deadline. Have to have it done by October the 1st so I can submit it to Stephanie's Facebook page. So that's what I'm aiming for, and that's coming up pretty fast. Okay, and another thing that I finished last week as sort of a, as I call it, a palette cleanser, I did this hanger. It's called My Sewing Room. It was a design by JuJu, and I think it's kind of cute. It now hangs on one of my cupboard doors in my sewing room, and it was a in the hoop project. And everything is done in the hoop with the exception of sewing the 3 panels together. And of course you have to put a backing on it. And I just did, what do they call that? A pillowcase backing or envelope backing, you know, where you put the backing on, turn it inside out, sew it and turn it back right sides out, whatever, that kind of thing. Because I could have put a binding on it, but, you know, getting down with that bottom to the scalloped edge, that's not difficult, especially if you use a bias binding, but I just didn't feel like it. This was just a little palette cleanser, as I said, and I think it's kind of cute. It's got some colors in it that I don't traditionally use, like the pinks and roses in there. I don't usually use those colors, but in the case of this, I think it worked out pretty good. So yeah, now I have a few other projects that I'm working on right now, and possibly next week I will tell you more about that. Some announcements, what's coming up and what's happened. We have, of course, our weekly Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen, Wednesday mornings starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. The link for that is in the show notes. All are welcome. Come and go as you please. It is a Zoom event. It is not recorded. It's not a YouTube Live. Okay, so we had 2 sewing days this past weekend. So it was a weekend of sewing. And I know a lot of people really enjoyed that. I did. Helps you get caught up on a few projects. So first one was on Saturday, and it was my pop-up sew day, which, you know, if you're new to the channel, you don't know maybe, but I have a pop-up sew day at least once a month. Lately it's been averaging at least 2 a month. And you never know when they're going to be until about 5 days before they happen. I will send out a notice to people on my mailing list, and if you want to be on that mailing list, it's really easy. Just go to the show notes for this video. You'll find a link to where you'll find my email address. You just send me your name, first and last, please, and I will add you to the mailing list. It's as simple as that. I do not inundate you with a whole lot of useless information because I am not a business. I am not trying to sell anything. I'm just letting you know when I'm having my next pop-up sew days and my retreats, which happen twice a year. More about that in a moment. So, yeah. Oh, I also put the link for the pop-up sew days in the show notes of my videos for the week before as well. And so anyways, we had a good turnout. I think at the height of it, we had a little over 30 some people. Everybody seemed to enjoy themselves. I know I did. People were getting lots of things done, caught up. And it's always, you know, nice conversation and things like that. Always learn a lot of things. I learned that there's a chemical in certain foods that turns rats' skin translucent. I think that one beats the fish farts. Yeah. Okay. I think you get the idea. We talk about everything. Okay, and we enable one another. And yes, I was enabled. I ended up buying, and this is kind of ironic because the day before Pop-Up Sew Day on So Chatty, Walter and I discussed rulers. And I had mentioned how many rulers I have, that I'm a real ruler slut. And what do? On Saturday, I buy another ruler. I didn't know that you could get rulers as long as 36 inches. I thought 24 was it. But one of the people on there showed me a 2.5 inch by 36.5 inch ruler, and I went, ooh, I need that. Why you would say, do you need 36 inches? Well, it makes cutting, fabric from salvage to salvage a little easier, but more importantly, it's for squaring up my quilts. Um, the longer the ruler, the better. Now, there are some disadvantages of having a long ruler, depending on what's on the back of them, whether how much they slip. Um, you may have to put a hand weight on the far end of it. Well, I do that anyways with the 24 inch. It just secures things a little better so they don't go like wobbly when you get up, when you get your arm extended way out like this on something. 3D. Ooh. Things tend to slide a little bit, and you don't want to do that, especially when you're squaring up a quilt. So I have a little set of 3-pound hand weights, I think, that I picked up at a local drugstore kind of one day, and they work dandy. I just put those on the end, and it keeps everything nice and secure. Anyways, I digress, as I often do. Yeah, so the pop-up sew day was great. It was lots of fun. And then, right on the heels of that, we had the inaugural, that's a hard word to say, the inaugural Shenanigans Sew Day, sponsored by Russ of Quilt Meets World. And we had about a good 30 people there as well. And it was lots of fun. Got more stuff done, more enabling going on, and other interesting things we've learned about the world as well. And this was Russ's first. He was a little apprehensive about doing this. I think one of the things that he was a little apprehensive was he thought he might be running into conflict with mine. No, I told him no. There's lots of room for lots of sew days here in the internet land. Not a problem. It gives people choice. It gives people more opportunities. So let's do it. Let's go for it. I have turned him into a monster. He is now going to do another one. And he did tell me about it in advance just to make sure it didn't conflict with any of my events, and it doesn't. And I wasn't worried about that anyways. But anyways, he's got another one planned for very soon. I can't tell you when because it's not my sew day. I'll leave it to Russ to make the announcement of it. And I imagine he'll make the announcement pretty soon with that. So if you haven't been over to Russ's channel, it's Quilt Meets World. There's a link for it in my show notes below. Go and check Russ out. Okay, he's a buddy, and his YouTube channel is lots of fun. Lots of interesting stuff going on over there as well. So do check him out. So yeah, 2 sew days this past weekend. I'm tired. I am actually tired from those. But it was good. It's a good kind of tired, I guess. So that leads me to a topic I want to discuss because lately this has been happening to me. Now, in spite of the fact that I said I enjoyed the pop-up sew days, what I was doing was in the hoop projects on my embroidery machine. I just have not had the interest to work on a quilt. I've been working on Stephanie's one that you saw, Stephanie's Cozy Star quilt, but I haven't really started any other new projects. And I'm bored. Yes, I'm bored. And I don't know how to get over that. I love quilting. But there's several factors I think that are contributing to it, and I have to get over these factors. And maybe this has happened to you, and maybe you can share some of your insights into this. I guess basically what I'm saying is I lost my soul mojo. And it happens. It's happened to me before, but not in the way it's happening right now. And it kind of scares me for several reasons. One, I spend a lot of time quilting, and I've bought a lot of equipment for quilting. And something like this happened to me when I was doing paper crafting. I started to get bored with paper crafting. I guess it was because I wasn't coming up with any new ideas. I would search the internet looking for new techniques, new products. Well, there's always new techniques, new products, or variations thereof, but it just didn't throw me then. And then suddenly I discovered quilting, and I had a whole new creative life. And it's been going strong for the last 6 years or so. 6, 7, I don't know when I started. I think I started in 2017, so 7 years. Yeah. Um, so I don't know what's wrong with me. However, I decided I'd start doing some random thumbing through YouTube pages. I want to see if there's something that's going to kickstart my creativity. And I've done this before when I've been in a slump. Or pull out some of the old books or patterns that I have, and maybe some of those will inspire me. Or even looking at fabric helps. So yesterday, I was cutting the sashing for Stephanie's quilt, and I did have a kit that I bought when we were down in Berlin back a couple of months ago in the summer. And it had sheep on it. It was a Christmas quilt. And at the time when I saw it, it was an impulse buy, the kit. And I had to buy it was actually a magazine book-like thing with the instructions in it. And I thought, well, this would be a little different. It's got sheep on it. It's really going to be cute. And I picked that up. But I haven't started it. So I thought, hey, let's grab that kit and let's go. This will inspire me. It didn't. I'm not going to do it. And here's why. First of all, the pattern, the way it's written, it is a lot of tiny little pieces. It's sort of like an Art East kit, if you know what I'm talking about, if you've ever done one of those. And nothing against Art East kits or anything like that, but they are a lot of little pieces, and little pieces drive me mental, okay? It's just me. Lots of people like that. I don't think I'd ever be good at making a mini quilt because of that. Okay, so that was one thing. Also, there was a ton of cutting because there were so many little pieces, and the pattern, the way it was printed in the book, the typeface was tiny. Yes, I'm old. My eyes aren't as good as they once were, but this was ridiculous. They were trying to cram in a lot of information in a small space. Okay, so barring that, I mean, I could get over that. But I'm looking at the fabrics that came in the kit. They are not the color scheme, the colorway that's in the pattern, nor what I saw, what I remember that I saw at this quilt store. Actually, I think I said it was the Lone Star. It wasn't Lone Star. It was the Plaid Sheep or something in Berlin. So I had to try and figure out the fabric that was in the kit. What did it correspond to in the pattern? This was not easy. So I kind of had it laid out thinking this is probably what's going to work. But then I got looking at it and thought, I need to do a test block. And that's where I scrapped the whole project. I had to make a decision. Is this worth my time and effort? Is it that cute? Do I really want to make sheep? And I decided, no, I did not. And the fabrics that came in the kit did not inspire me either. I like bright. These were dull. And they were like black, white, and sort of a beigey, browny gray, hard to describe sort of fabric. It borders on ugly. It really does. I don't know if I've got some here handy to show you. Yeah, I do. Okay. Here's a couple of the pieces of the fabric. I don't like them. But then you're going to say, well, why'd you buy the kit? I couldn't see these fabrics in the kit. What I saw on one side of the kit, the way they had it folded up, I saw white fabric, which was nice. And on the other side, there was some red, which was okay. These were buried in there. And yeah, I know why they were using them, because, they have little sheep on them. Okay. Um, do these yell Christmas to you? Maybe, but I don't know. It wasn't inspiring for me. I'm sure other people would love these, but I'm not other people. It's me. And if I'm not inspired by the fabric in a pattern, I don't know about you, but I just don't want to do it. And I'm thinking, I bought the kit. I spent money for it. That doesn't mean I have to do it. I can use those fabrics possibly in something else. So I scrapped that, not doing the sheep. Okay? So I'm looking around. Now, I had some, I love gnomes. Okay? And gnome fabrics and things like that, and embroidery files. And I have quite a collection of gnome fabrics. Well, while I was in Berlin, Ohio as well, I picked up a couple of charm packs and a jelly roll of some really cute gnome fabrics. So I pulled those out, laid them on my cutting table, and looked at them and think, what can I do with those? So let me grab a couple of experimental blocks to show. Excuse me, hiccups, to show you. Now, these blocks are experimental, and they're nothing to write home about in terms of, ooh, this is revolutionary. But I love stars, and I do like Christmas fabric. So here is one block, okay? Probably goes this way because it is directional. Because I am doing, no, it goes this way. Yeah, because I am sort of fussy cutting some of the fabric with the gnomes to get the gnomes in it. And this is the other one. It's the same pattern design, just with a little different color red in the star points. And I'm still using the jelly roll and the charm packs. So those are flying geese to create the star. So my idea here is I'm going to make a bunch of these, alternating the reds that I'm using. And I don't know if I'll do a different type of block or not. But basically those blocks are very, very simple. But I'm developing this as I go on. I don't know what it's going to turn into. It may not turn into anything. I don't know yet. But these are inspiring me to get back into the mood to quilt. And that's a good thing. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you've ever had this problem where you just, I don't want to quilt, kind of a thing, I don't want to make a quilt or whatever, then there's a couple of methods you can use to bring back your sew mojo. One, do a palette cleanser. What a palette cleanser is, in my definition of it, is doing a simple project that is different from what you usually do. Like make a table runner, make a table topper. If you have an embroidery machine, do a small embroidery project. Make a tote bag. Something a little different. And then come back. It may inspire you from that. Another way to do this, look at your pattern books or patterns that you have that you've cast aside. I see a pattern I like and I'll purchase it and I put it in a bin and forget all about it. So you need to go through your drawers. You need to go in wherever you keep patterns and stuff and look at them. There might be something there that'll bring back your creative mojo. Look at your fabric. We all have lots of fabric. Look at your fabric stash. What inspires you? Because that'll help. That's how I forgot about the gnome Christmas fabrics. And yeah, so that inspired me. In fact, my problem right now is this. I really want to work on this and not work on the other one that's on my design board, which is Stephanie's Cozy Star. Not because I'm bored with it. I love that quilt. I love how it's turning out. I think it's going to be gorgeous when I get it done. And I will work on it. It's number one priority. This is number two priority. Okay? So yeah, I think I'm getting inspired again. And this just reminded me right here at this point, I have a drawer of gnome fabrics, I need to go through those because I might be able to use some of those fabrics with whatever this will become. So I guess quilting, there are times when we are bored with quilting. But maybe it's our brains just telling us that we've overworked them in the creative department and we need to give it a bit of a rest. Because if you put your mind to something else for a little while, it seems to give your brain a new way of looking at things. Inspires you, I suppose. That's what I'm thinking. Anyways, I don't know. Has this ever happened to you? And if so, what you do about it? Write me some comments. Maybe I'll share some of those with people next week here on the episode. Okay, so that takes me to something that often inspires me as well, and it's other people's quilts. So this quilt of the week, it comes from Melissa Van Buskirk, and she's a regular on here. She's a regular on the sew days and the pop-up sew days as well. And so I'm going to share with you her latest beautiful creation right now. This week's creation from a subscriber comes from Melissa Van Buskirk, who's a regular on Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen, and a regular here on my channel. And she sends this beautiful in the hoop applique project, and she says, here is the Creative Kiwi large applique sewing machine. I made this using the 5x7 hoop, and it took 6 hoopings. It was joined in the hoop, resulting in 10 by 13 inch hanging. Mine has Howe on it, as I am a descendant from Elias Howe, who invented and patented the first lock stitch sewing machine. Well, that's really interesting little fact there on the side, your relationship to the inventor of the sewing machine. And I think this is a beautiful applique. And this one, I think, if I was to make it, and I might, would be worthy of being framed. You said that this total size, it is a hanging, is 10 by 13 inches, so a fairly large frame, but I think it would look lovely, and it would be a great addition to anybody's sewing room. So I may have to look into this and make one for myself as well. And I like the addition of the name How. I don't think that was part of the pattern. I think you put that in, if I'm correct, Melissa. But anyways, this is really beautiful, and you really have done a fine job of this. So thank you, Melissa, for sharing your beautiful creation with us. And if you would like me to feature one of your creations on here, please send it to me as an attachment to an email. Tell me a little bit about it, 50 words or less, and send only one picture, please, in JPEG, JPG format, and I will be more than happy to feature your creation here on an episode of the Idiot Quilter. Okay, that takes me to YouTube of the week. There's always this controversy around starch. Should you starch your fabric? Should you not starch your fabric? And then there's all kinds of starch and starch alternatives that people use or don't use as well. So I found this little video clip that basically talks about starching. This week's video clip comes from a site that I just recently found out about, and it is another male quilter, and he goes by the Bear Quilter. And I think there's a bit of a pun on the word bear here, as you can see in this little screen capture picture that he has here on this short video about starch. And that's what makes this a very interesting video, because he talks all about starch. And I know there's a lot of controversy out there as to should you pre-starch your fabrics before you start cutting and working with them, or not use starch, and what starches should you use. And he has some very interesting thoughts about starch and different types of starch. So if you're one of those people who's out there on a limb as to whether or not you should be using starch in your quilting, then you'll probably want to check this out. And while you're there, check out his other videos. He's a relatively new to the YouTube, and so he doesn't have all that many videos yet, but I think he's someone worth following. So check that out. So if you want to watch that in more detail, the link for it is in the show notes below. And it is kind of informative, and it's a short video, so it's not going to take up a lot of your time. Okay, future projects. Well, this is one time when the future meets the present. Well, what am I talking about? I'm talking about a design that I found that was for an In the Hoop project. It's for a table topper. It's called the Harvest Table Topper. It's by Designs by JuJu. I love Designs by JuJu. A lot of their projects, some of their projects are cute and juvenile, but they do have others that are a little bit more sophisticated as well. And they always have a sale. So that's what this one is. So I'm going to show you the design and talk about it, and then I'm going to show you the completed project. I don't often do that in this segment, but it just so happens that I completed it during the pop-up sew days. This week's future project is another In the Hoop fall themed project, and this is the Harvest Table Topper, and it's by Designs by JuJu. Right now it's on sale at the time of this recording, and so I picked this up. Now, I'm not usually a fan of table toppers, but I thought this one looked really quite interesting, and I thought this would make really kind of a nice hostess gift or something. And you can see here that by changing the colors, you can make some very dynamic looking table toppers. So you could use this, make several of these really. And I think even if you shrink it down a little bit, it could be a pot holder as well. But it is a gorgeous looking project, and I did buy it, and I'm going to do it soon, I hope. So you might be interested in trying your hand at that as well if you have an embroidery machine. And here's the completed project. It's sitting on my glass round coffee table. There's a rug under that, so that rug's not part of the table topper. I know it when you first look at it, you're going, whoa, that's kind of weird. No, the table topper is there for you. And I think it turned out spectacular. And it looks really good on that coffee table in our family room. And it fits perfectly for that. So I've put it out, even though we're not quite into fall and we're not quite to Thanksgiving. And of course, you remember Thanksgiving for me, as being a Canadian, comes early in October, as opposed to Thanksgiving in November for the Americans. So that's out on my table, and it's going to sit there for some time. I really like it. The colors go well with my living room as well, although that's never a priority for me when it comes to quilted things or things I make in the hoop, because I'm not all matchy-matchy about things, but I love it. I like the fabric. I had this fabric in my stash that I bought some time ago, and do not tend to be an orange and yellow type of person, but these colors are definitely fall colors, appropriate for fall. Well, the whole thing reeks of fall. And I'm very, very happy with the way it turned out. Now, somebody asked me, how was I going to finish it? Was I going to put a binding on it? I did not. I did it the way, actually in the instructions, they said, put the right side of the table topper onto the right side of your backing fabric, stitch all the way around it, leave a gap, pull it through, push out your points, and then sew up your gap, and then top stitch. And that's what I did. And that worked fine because you had those points. Because although I could have put a conventional binding on it, I didn't really feel like it. And the instructions, they didn't suggest that you do that either. So anyways, I'm very happy with the way that turned out. So if you've got an embroidery machine, just go to Designs by JuJu. I think I have the link for this in the show notes below. And like I said, at the time that I bought it, it was on sale, 50% off, I think. And I think it may still be on sale. So it comes out to something like, I think it's about $10 Canadian. So it'll be less American. And it comes with full instructions. It's a very easy pattern to do. However, it does take a while, because there are actually a lot more pieces than it looks like there is in this. But yeah, I love in the hoop applique projects and things like this. And I'm not a big fan of table toppers, but this one works. This one works. Yeah. Okay. So let's see here. Where am I going next? Um, yeah, okay. I guess we're at online quilt stores, and this one's called the Quilter Boutique. This week's online quilt store is called the Quilted Boutique, and I'm not absolutely sure where this is located. Let's see if we can find it. I'll go to the bottom of the page. Oh, it's in Paris, Ontario. So that's in my neck, well, a couple of hours to the west of me. But this is one that I have never been to if it's an actual physical store. But let's just check it out and see what they have to offer. So this is their front page. Nicely laid out. I like their pictures of their different things that they have. They have kits, and oh, that's beautiful. Oh, it's block of the month, different ones, so that's interesting. Explore our BOT. Okay, I was thinking they were spelled bottom wrong. It's not. Block of the month, BOTM. Okay. Ooh, I kind of like this one, built around a panel. I like the maple leaves. Anything with a maple leaf on it, I love though, and I like the windmills and the way those are done. That's kind of cool too. That's a nice little wall hanging, and oh, they do have a physical store, and they're showing what it looks like. So, and their hours as well. Um, hmm. Oh no, they're open during the week except on Mondays, and Sundays are closed. So, next time I'm in that area, it might be worth checking out the store. But let's check out the website here, and let's jump right into their fabrics. Now, what do we got here? We have basics, collections coming soon, kits, log cabins, pre-cuts, patterns, a handmade tail, and starch spray gifts. Okay, well, let's click on basics and see what's here. Okay, so they've got what's on sale, solids, yardage, textures and blenders, batiks, flannel, linen, silk, satin, gingham. Okay, so they have more than just quilting fabrics. That looks like they have some garment fabric as well. They do have quilt backs. We'll come back to that, but let's take a look at what they call yardage. Okay, they're calling this yardage, so that's probably what they sell it by, not by meters. Okay, so as I rate this out of 10, they start it with 10 out of 10, but I'm taking half a mark off because they're a Canadian store. It should be in meters, so I'm taking off half a mark. Okay, so they do have Liberty fabric, Summer House, some interesting vintage 1930s style types of fabrics here, if you're into that. Did it tell me how many that they have? I would have liked a little bit more of a breakdown on their indexing of their fabrics. Okay, so it looks like 128011. I am sure that is by the yard. Let's just click on one and see. Quantity. Okay. Oh, yes, there it is. This fabric is sold in half yard increments. All right, and at 11, so that's $22 a yard. That's on the upper end of the scale for price. So, but it's what everybody is charging these days, so that's okay. And it looks like all of their fabrics pretty much are that price, so about $22 a yard, not a meter. Um, they have quite a few to look at. Some of these are really eye-catching. Um, I do like vintage fabrics to a certain extent, but you know, they're not something I go to instantly, but these ones look very nice. Okay, so I guess the only way you can do this is you have to go through the entire collection. That I don't like. Um, just let me see here what under collections. Oh, well, you can do it by collections. Okay. Yeah, and they have quite a few different ones. I'm just looking down the list here. Actually, they have quite a few. Um, they don't seem to be organized, however, in alphabetical order. which would have been nice, maybe. So again, you're doing some hunting here, and I don't like having to hunt. I like to get in, get out kind of a thing. So that's just me, but I'm taking off half a point for that. Let's take a look at the Robert Kaufmans, just out of curiosity. And they're the same price. I have quite a bit to choose from, however, though. So I think their collection, their fabrics to choose from are pretty good. I just wish they were a little bit better organized. What's under coming soon? A quick peek. And they have a mixture of things. Fabrics, kits, notions, pre-cuts. Okay. So those are coming, so that's good. Let's go back to basics and let's take a look at what are they charging for boutiques. Well, it's not bad for boutiques. It's a little bit more than regular, and it usually is. So it's $22.40. Again, higher end of the scale. Okay, let's take a look at, I saw wide backs. Oh, wow. High end of the scale. $32 for wide backs. And they've got some, again, they seem to be very much lean towards the vintage style. For me, there's not much here to choose from, but for others, there might be. This one, in stock, Farmhouse Chic. Is that just already? Oh, so this looks, well, that's interesting. It's a little cheaper, $30. Okay, here's some confusion. They call it yardage, but now they're saying it's sold by the meter. Now, I was correct, was I not, when we went into yardage, and that's in yards. So they have fabric in both yards and in meterage. So that's confusing. I mean, it's only 3 inches difference, but it's still 3 inches. So yeah, I don't know. Let's be consistent. Okay. What about thought I saw pre-cuts here somewhere. But I'm not seeing it now. So let's see, batting. Let's check batting first because it's there. Okay, it's pre-packaged batting, and they only have basically 2 to choose from. One's king size, one's queen size, 65.80. Again, that's about the going price, I'd say, for that. And then they have a few other things as well. Okay. All right. Pre-cuts. Here we go. Let's look at fat quarters. And prices are kind of on the upper end, but I would expect that because all of their fabric is in terms of price. And as I said before, it looks like they really focus on the more vintage lines of fabric. There are some very beautiful ones here, though. Okay. So that's fat quarters. Let's just take a look at, oops, wrong category. Charms and layer cakes. Lori Holt. And Bird Brain, whatever that is. Yeah, they don't have a lot to choose from in the pre-cuts, but what they have, if you're definitely into more of that Lori Holt vintage look, they do seem to specialize in that. I have let's see, notions and patterns. They do have digital patterns, which I always gravitate towards digital patterns because, you know, I want instant gratification. And the prices for these are what you'd expect. That's really, I don't know if that's a lot. Well, that's probably a very complicated pattern. It's a Lori Holt quilted witch. So yeah. So okay. Some cute things here. Not a lot. Yeah, that's in the downloadable ones though. In their regular patterns, patchwork jacket. All right, so these are more, well, they have a few quilting ones, and some of them are little novelty items and pillows and garments and things like that. So some cute things here too. All right. Handmaid's Tale, what's that? Quilts, a lengthy story. I find these little things they're putting, I don't know if these are the name of the product or I guess they must be. Okay, they're selling actual quilts here that are made. Yeah. Okay, so they sell quilts as well. Starch spray gifts. Oh, okay, so you can buy starch from them, gift cards from them, gift baskets, spray adhesives, etc. Okay. I find, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but some of these titles that are here are a little bit, not misleading, but confusing. So let's see. They have pre-cut log cabin kits. They seem to like log cabins. That might explain their selection of fabrics too. They definitely go for the vintage look. So pre-cut log cabin quilt kit. So does that mean that the pieces are already cut out for you? Quilter Boutique, a pre-cut log cabin quilt kit. Yeah, they do. They're all the cutting is the only cutting needed in this kit is still opening the wrapper. Okay. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that on any of the other sites that I have reviewed in the past. So this one, $59.99. So how many blocks do you get out of it? Blocks finish at 10.5 inches each. There are 12 blocks in this kit. One finished kit measures 31.5 by 42 approximately. We suggest 2 kits and borders for a nice throw. Well, you know, you wanted something relatively quick as a gift. That's not a horrible price for that for that size. So that's very interesting. Okay, kits. New kits on the block. Okay. There's that one, adorable, that I thought was kind of cool. Kit prices, yeah, about standard. Here we go. I've already got that. I've got the pattern, I've got the ruler, I've got all the fabric for the Alaska, but I haven't made it yet. It's one of those projects down the road when you feel like doing something that I think is going to be complicated. They got some interesting kits though. And it looks like if you are interested in hand embroidery, they have the supplies for that in a kit as well. Christmas ones are cute. Okay, so yeah, they got a fairly good collection here of kits. So that's all right. Okay. So, what haven't I looked at? Coming soon, yeah, kits. Well, they have tea towel kits. So they have a wide range of kits. That's good. Okay, so what can I say about this? What's my rating of this? Well, I've taken a couple of half points off, but I am going to take off a point for the way it is set up for searching for things. I find it a little bit confusing. Prices are on the upper end of the scale, a little high. I'm going to take off half a mark for that. Now shipping, we have not looked at shipping. So let's see if I can find out about that. Okay. Don't see a link for shipping. All right, so does this mean I have to put in a fake order to find this out? Let's do a search, see if this gives us anything. Nope. Nothing there about shipping. Okay, let's do a fake order. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Add to cart. View cart. $15.81 for an order that's $40 shipping. Oh, they have a flat rate in Ontario. Okay. $13.99. Then why is this at $15.88? Okay, I guess if you put in a postal code. Huh. I don't understand this. If it's flat rate $13.99, why does it say under here delivery $15.81? Let's up the amount. Still says $15.81. I don't understand. If they're calling this flat rate Canada, which actually that's really great, $13.99, it doesn't look like they give you anything. If you get to a certain price, you get it for free on shipping, but that's not unreasonable. I just don't understand why this says delivery $15.81 and this says flat rate $13.99. That is very confusing, so I'm taking off half a point for that. Okay, let's get rid of this out of the basket and go back to their home page. So overall, I think the prices are on the higher end. If you're into vintage fabrics, if you're into the Lori Holt-like look, then you're going to love this site. User interface is not bad, but I did find it a little confusing at times, and you can't really pinpoint down exactly what you want, although they do have a search engine, so maybe if I'd used that more extensively, I wouldn't have had as much of a problem finding stuff. Their shipping is confusing, and so is what they sell the fabric in, although it is listed with each fabric, so whether it's in yardage or in meters. So putting all those things together, I'm giving the Quilter Boutique a 7 out of 10. And if you're definitely into vintage, then this one I think is worth taking a look at. Okay, so what's coming up? Well, as you know, because I've told you about this every week, I have the Idiot Quilter Fall 2024 retreat. It's coming up fast. Registration registration opens, let's put it that way, at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, October the 5th. Please do not try to register before that time and date because I won't accept it. I know I'm cruel. I'm very flattered that you're excited and want to get your spot reserved quickly, but I have to make it fair. And the only way I can make it fair is to actually establish a date and a time. Now, that doesn't mean that if you can't register on that particular day and time that you have to do it the next day or whatever, that you won't be able to. You probably will be able to. I have 96 spots, well, probably 95 spots available, but they do fill up really quick. And this is a free event. So, but I'm asking you to register to guarantee your spot. And all the details about it, if you haven't already seen it, are in a special video that's on my channel, and there's a link to that video in the show notes. So please, please go and watch that if you have not, because it's going to tell you about what to expect, especially if you're a new person to one of my retreats. It's going to tell you what's happening in the retreat, how it works, everything like that. Okay, so that's all there for you. Okay, so I think that brings me to the conclusion of this week's episode. Can't think of anything else to tell you. So I think I'm getting my quilting mojo back. Good thing. And maybe I'll see some of you on Wednesday at Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. And yeah, later this week, we'll have another episode of So Chatty with Walter. What are we talking about this week? Thread. All about threads. Yeah, that was a request. And we do have plans still, but we haven't done anything about it yet, where Walter will teach me how to make a shirt. That's going to be a comedy routine on so many different levels. Yeah, but that's down the road. Okay, have a great week. We'll see you later. Bye for now.